Today we're going to be talking about formatting and sorting lists in Microsoft Word. This is Lesson 7 in your Pearson book. In this lesson we'll show you how to create a bulleted list as well as a numbered list and the difference between those two. We'll discuss how to change the bullet or the number format that's being used. We can create a multi-level list, which is used whenever you want to put a list inside of a list. And then finally, we'll show you how to sort paragraphs. We're going to need a file in order to begin working on this. And if you turn in your book to page 142 where this Try It activity begins, you'll see there's no download. Well, if you read the instructions, you'll say that it says to create a blank document and save it with the file name W07 Try A with your initials. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and start up Microsoft Word. If you already have Word running because you've been using vocabulary, been defining vocabulary, just go to the File menu and create a new document. We are going to create a new blank document. Now we need to give this document a name, so we're going to go to the File menu, File, Save As. We are saving it to my computer, specifically in my Documents. If you have a dated folder already for today's lesson, you may go to that folder, or you can create a new folder using that New Folder button. Once you're in that folder, go ahead and give it the name. The name of this file should be W07. We're in the Lesson 7 of Word. This is a try activity, so we're going to type in try, and then the letter A. You want to follow this by your initials. Now that our file's been created, we're going to create a simple bulleted list. The way we do that is using our paragraph group on the ribbon. There is a bulleted list, a numbered list, and a multi-level list. And we're going to be dealing with all three of these buttons throughout the lesson today. We're going to start with the leftmost button. It is the bulleted list. I'm going to click right on that button itself. And we're going to create two items in this list. We're going to type in milk, press the Enter key, and type in orange juice. So that you can better see my screen, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so that you can better see the list as I'm working with it. We have the ability to change the look of this bullet. Instead of a simple dot, we can select these two items, and I want to change the look. And if you'll click the drop-down arrow on this bulleted list, you can see a variety of different choices that you can make. So go ahead and pick one of the items, doesn't matter which one that you pick from that list of choices. Another thing we can do with this list, as we've learned about in previous lessons, is we can change the line spacing of the list. This is going to be done through the line spacing tool, as we've talked about before. So I'm going to change my line spacing to 2.0 so that this list will be double spaced on my page. Now, let's go back to the bullets for a moment. You're not stuck with the bullets that Microsoft provides to you. You can actually choose your own bullet. Let's demonstrate how you might do this. What we're going to do is we're going to come down here to where it says Define New Bullet. So clicking on the button, Define New Bullet. This time we're going to define the bullet using a symbol. So I'm going to click on the button that says Symbol. Here I can choose a button that I wish to use. Now, your list of symbols may look different than mine. That's because of the font that is chosen up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this drop down arrow, and there are 4 different fonts that you can use that are built into Windows for finding different symbols. The first font that will work is called Symbols. So the symbol font is one of the fonts that can be used. And in reality, in a moment, this is the font we'll be using. But I do want to show you several others. Now guys, I don't make these names up. They are just what they are. They're going to be a little funny. The second one I should say, is actually called Wingdings. Wingdings is the name of a symbol font. There is also a Wingdings 2, as well as a Wingdings 3. So these are the 4 symbol fonts that you can use in order to locate symbols that you might want to use for bullets. The one that we're going to use in this particular lesson is the symbol font. On this symbol font, if you're at the top of the list of symbols, you need to scroll to the bottom, and toward the bottom of this font there is a heart symbol. If you're a card player, you'll recognize the 4 different card symbols: the club, the diamond, the hearts, and the spades. The heart is what we're going to use at this particular time. So clicking on the heart, we're going to click OK and click OK, and you will see that that changes the symbol that is being used for that bullet to the 3 hearts, or excuse me, the 2 hearts. The next thing we can do is we can add a picture to our bullets. In order to do this, we need to have a picture available to us. So let's take a second and find that picture. From time to time, we will use a picture that is the RBMA logo. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get that logo and transfer it to your Pictures folder. So I'd like you to minimize Word, minimize any other program you may be running, and I'd like you to go to the Class Files folder. Now understand that the Class Files folder on your desktop may look different than mine, but you should have a Class Files folder. Once in the Class Files folder, there should be a folder called IIT. Double click on that IIT folder, and in that folder you should see the RBMA logo. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to copy that logo to your Pictures folder. So the way you're going to do that is you will see your Pictures folder on the left hand side of your screen. You're going to drag this logo file on top of that picture folder. So I'm going to take my mouse and simply drag that logo over to Pictures and let go. At this point, I can go ahead and use that picture in my Word document. So I'm going to go back to my Word document. I want to now select, if you don't have it selected, select these 2 items. And instead of using the heart symbol, we're going to use that RBMA logo picture. Clicking the drop-down arrow on my bulleted list, we're going to go down to Define New Bullet, exactly the same way we did when we got the heart. But this time, we're going to use the picture option instead of symbol. So clicking on Picture, I want to actually grab this picture from a file that exists on my computer. So we're going to browse. This will bring us to our list of pictures. And what I want to do is I want to find that RBMA logo. Yours is probably one of the only thing in your picture folder, so it probably comes right up. But I'm going to click on that RBMA logo and insert it. You will then see that logo appearing as the picture or the graphic. I'm going to click OK, and now my bullets have turned to the RBMA logo. Coming to the end of orange juice, I'm going to go ahead and press the Enter key to add, if you will, a third item. And that does indeed create a third bulleted list. But if I don't wish to add a third item, all I have to do is press the Enter key one more time. If I press the Enter key on a blank bulleted list line, it assumes that I'm done with the bulleted list, and it goes ahead and changes it back to the normal everyday text. What I'm going to type in here is the word directions, and I'm going to press the enter key. And now what I want to do is create a numbered list that will be a list of directions to some place that I may be wanting to give directions to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to my ribbon. Instead of going to the bulleted list, I'm going to go to the numbered list. Click on numbered list. It gives me the number 1. And now let's begin by typing in turn left on Main Street. So I've typed in my item here, turn left on Main Street. I press the enter key, creates a new line item. I'm going to change, or not change, but I'm going to type in bear right, B-E-A-R, at the fork. After point number 2, we're going to go ahead and press enter one more time, and here we're going to type in the final piece of information, that is park behind building. I've got my 3 points. I would like to remove this space that's in between the points. I'd like the numbers to be closer together in this case. So I'm going to select these 3 items, and using the same method we used to add the space, we're going to come up to the line and paragraph spacing button, and we're going to change this to single space 1.0, single space, so that the text is closer together. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to insert a new item in the middle of this list. So in other words, I want park behind the building to remain as the last item, but there needs to be something that goes in between these 2 items. If I wish to insert something in between, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the point just before the new point that I want to put in. So I'm going to click the end of number 2. I want a new point 3. So I'm going to click at the end of point number 2. I'm going to press the enter key. And now I can type in, as you notice, it automatically renumbered everything. So what was 3 became 4. And I'm going to type in go straight for 3 miles. One thing that you can notice about a bulleted list is it will automatically renumber if you add new items in. And if you wanted to, not that I really want to here, but if I wanted to restart this, so I've got a list that has points 1 and 2, now I want to start over with point 1 again. If I right click on that 3, I can choose to restart with 1 and it will restart the numbering again. I really don't want that, and while I could use the undo button to fix that, I just want to also demonstrate that if we right click on that number 1, sometimes that will happen and you don't intend for it to, where maybe you've typed a couple items 1, 2, and 3, you've then typed a few items that were not numbered, and now you create a new list and the computer starts it over at 1. You don't want it to start over with 1, you want it to continue where you left off. Well, what you're going to do is right click on that 1 and you can choose this option right here that says continue numbering, and then it will continue numbering from wherever it left off last. Sometimes you don't want a numbered list. You want it to be ordered, but you don't want it to be numbered. For example, I want an A, B, C, and D instead of a 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, using the drop-down arrow on the list of my numbered list, I can perform that particular function by choosing one of the other options that are on my list. I'm going to go with the capital ABC here. I can also change the size of my text, just like I learned in the previous lesson. I can change from size 11 to size 14. That will make everything larger, including the numbers or the letters in this case. I can also indent the list if I wish to do so. For this, I'm going to go into my paragraph settings. I can set my indentation, and as you can see, there is already an indentation of 0.25. If I wish to increase that indent, I can do so. I can increase it to say 0.5. But if you do the left indent increase, you probably want to also increase your hanging indent. The reason for this is because you want to make sure that when your text wraps around, if you have a longer piece of text, that the text will be wrapped to the same point here instead of coming all the way back to the letter A. So if you adjust the indentation of a list, you probably want to also adjust the hanging indent as well. Finally, one of the last things we're going to do here is we're going to change the text color to red. Notice that when we change the color of the text to red, the numbered list also changes to red as well. This wraps up this particular file, so let's save this file and close it, and then we're going to go back to our book in order to pick up with the next file. Alright, now that we've got that file closed, we're going to create another file, a new blank document in Microsoft Word. So go ahead and start up Word, and or if you already have Word running, just go to File and New. And what we're going to talk about now is what is called a multi-level list. A multi-level list is kind of like an outline where you've got one list with another list inside of it. It's kind of a little easier if we go ahead and do some typing, and then it will make a little more sense as we go. For some reason, Microsoft did not make this multi-level list button work right, in my opinion. It works best if you type your list first and then apply the multi-level to it. So let's go ahead and type out what we're going to say here. We're going to start by typing in Microsoft Office 2013. That's on the first line. Pressing the Enter key, we're going to create our first sublist, which is going to be Microsoft Word. Pressing the Enter key, Microsoft Excel. Pressing the Enter key, and then finally Microsoft PowerPoint. These are the three programs that we're going to be learning about within the Microsoft Office product. Alright, let's go ahead and select these 4 lines of text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Word that this is going to be a multi-level list. So with this list selected, I'm going to go in and I'm going to select my multi-level list. So I can do this 1A, so forth. I can do 1, 1.1, 1.11. The one that we're actually going to choose is the one that kind of mimics an outline the most. This is this one here that says 1, then an A, then a small 1, and then a little a. So I'm going to click on that. And what that does is that automatically creates all these items as a single list. But in reality, Microsoft Office is the main point, and Word, Excel, and PowerPoint are subpoints. In other words, I don't want them to be 2, 3, and 4. What they really should be is an A, B, and a C. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and select these 3 points, and I'm going to indent them. We've talked about indents before. we're going to use the Increase Indent button. Increase Indent on the Home tab, paragraph group, and when we indent those items, they become a list within a list. So I've got Microsoft Office, which is my point 1. I've got my A, B, and C below. Now what I want to do is create a list within this list. What I want to do is click after the word Microsoft Word, press the Enter key, and we're going to type in word processing. Now, what you may not have noticed when we did this, going back to the Microsoft Office product, notice that it's set up as heading 1. Microsoft Word is set up as heading 2. If I want this text, word processing, to be a subpoint underneath it, what I can do is select it and make it heading 3. When I do that, it becomes a subpoint underneath. So using my styles, heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3, I can have my various levels of my multi-level list. If I were to continue this example, I would click after Microsoft Excel, at the end of the Excel, press the Enter key, and this is going to say Spreadsheet. Now I want this to be a point 1 underneath Microsoft Excel. So to do that, I go up and I choose heading 3 because it's the 3rd level down. And finally, I repeat that process for Microsoft PowerPoint. I press the Enter key, and it is presentation software. And that text also is going to be heading 3. So I've now created a multi-level list using an outline format, starting off by using the multi-level list option and picking the list levels that I want, the numbering system. And then from there, using my headings to choose which line or which level I want the text to reside. We haven't saved this file. We should have done that first thing. Let's go ahead and save this file to my computer and to today's dated folder. And let's call this W07 try B with your initials. That does bring us to a close of multi-level lists. So you can close this file. Back in our book, we're going to go ahead and turn to page 145. Page 145. And here we're going to talk about sorting paragraphs. When you sort a paragraph, you are in essence sorting what could be a bulleted list. Let's open this file and I'll explain that more. Clicking on this doc file, we're going to open this file up, enable the editing, and finally we're going to save this to our computer. So I'm going to do a file, save as, put it in my dated folder, the name W07 try C is already there. I just need to add my initials to this file. I have my bulleted list. I want to take this bulleted list and I want to alphabetize it. Right now it's haphazard, it's random, there's no real order to this particular list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the items in this list, and to sort these items alphabetically, it's actually rather simple. We come up to our ribbon where you see the A to Z button. When you point at it, it says sort. I click on my sort button. It's going to sort by paragraph, which that's practically always the way you want it. Later we'll talk about sorting tables. That would be the difference. But when you're sorting paragraphs, this is what you're going to want. And you're going to sort ascending, which means you want A first and Z last. Ascending means A comes first. I click OK. Apples comes first, followed by bread, lemonade, milk, orange juice, and zucchini, which is exactly what I was looking for. Now, a list does not have to be bulleted in order to be sorted. So here I've got a list of numbers. They are not a bulleted list, they're not a numbered list, but I can sort these numbers nonetheless. Clicking, or selecting I should say, selecting these 4 numbers, I go up to my sort button. I tell it to sort by paragraphs. I click OK, and sure enough, it sorts these items as numbers 19, 32, 64, and 122. So again, the sort button allows me to sort a list very quickly and very easily. Go ahead and save this file. I'm going to use my save button up here on the ribbon. And in this lesson we created both a bulleted and a numbered list. We showed you how to change the format of the bullet to either a symbol or a picture. We showed you how to change from a number to a letter if you wish to do so on the numbering side. We created a multi-level list, making sure that we used our styles to choose which level we wished a particular line of text to go to. And then we wrapped up by showing you how you could sort paragraphs, which gives us the ability to sort our list.